It is a constitutional matter. If you go into the Constitution, Section 153 of the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria as amended creates the Code of Conduct for Public Officers. There you will see Code of Conduct Bureau under the executive bodies as number 1 there. So this is something that everybody has to take very serious. It is an obligation for you to declare your assets and to also maintain the behavior that is expected of public officers in the discharge of their duties. Now, what is the mandate of the Code of Conduct? The Constitution says the mandate of the Code of Conduct is to establish and maintain a high standard of morality in the conduct of government business, and to ensure that the actions and behaviors of public officers conform to the highest standard of public morality and accountability that you can find in the Code of Conduct Bureau and Tribunal Act, Cap C 15, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004. So that is our mandate. We are ensuring the highest standard of morality in the conduct of government business. Mind you, in law, it is the evidence before the judge that matters. Moral does not really matter in law. But in this case, we want to teach you the ethics of public service. So we consider moral. It will be morally wrong for you to do this. It is morally wrong for you to do that. That is what we are teaching you. Now, what are the powers of the Bureau? If you go to paragraph 3 of the 3rd schedule to the 1999 Constitution, you will find the powers of the Bureau there. And number 1 of that power says, we should receive declaration from public officers in accordance with paragraph 11 of the 5th schedule to the 1999 Constitution. Paragraph 11 is talking about assets declaration. So we receive declarations from public officers. That is our first duty. Then after receiving the declaration, the law also states that we should examine it in accordance with the Code of Conduct or any other law in relation thereof. Now, when we receive this declaration from you, we will examine it, and that is the new twist, even though it has been there before, but we were not really following it. But with the new chairman, now, when you do your declaration, go to the High Court and swear affidavit, you are bringing your declaration personally to the Code of Conduct Bureau. You will come with it with all the attachments. So we will examine the declaration. We will verify it, whether what you declared is the same with the documents you attach. Before we will go on to the 3rd duty, which is to retain custody of that declaration and make available for inspection to any citizen of Nigeria under terms and conditions as might be prescribed by the National Assembly. So in this case, even though the law says to make available to any citizen of Nigeria to inspect, but that terms and conditions which the National Assembly is supposed to prescribe for us, they have not done it till date. And for that reason, once we examine your declaration, we keep custody of such declaration. But we can make available if a court of competent jurisdiction is investigating you on corruption issues. So don't think that once we finish with your form and we keep it, that is the end of it. If there is a petition against you in any of the anti-corruption agencies and they run to us, because we are housing the information on you, we will release it to them so that they can be able to conclude their investigation. Now, after that, the Constitution also says that we have the powers to ensure compliance with and where appropriate enforce the code of conduct for public officers. So now, this enlightenment we are doing now is ensuring compliance. That is why we are here, because of the morality of this law. The Constitution says you should bring your declaration to us. But because of the morality of this law, we have to ensure compliance with, and after which, if you did not conform again, then we enforce the code of conduct for public officers. That is why it would have been good for everybody to have been here to listen and to know exactly what to do. Now, as we ensure compliance, the law says where appropriate, we should enforce the code. So when we ensure the compliance here and people did not come and at the end of the day did not submit their declaration, then we can enforce the code of conduct for public officers on them. We take them to tribunal for prosecution. So after that, the next thing to do, the law says we should receive petitions from the public on breaches of the code of conduct or non-declaration. Investigate such breaches and where appropriate, refer such cases to the Code of Conduct Tribunal for prosecution. Now, we also have a special court that deals with breaches of the Code of Conduct Bureau. We have a special court which is called the Code of Conduct Tribunal because of the nature of this law. If you take them to High Court or to any other court, sometimes it takes ages for the judges to schedule you for prosecution, and then at the end of the day, some people might even retire and go. So we have a special court, and the cases are very simple. Have you declared? You say yes. Bring your acknowledgement slip. If you have it, then we are the ones that will now the court will be asking, why did you bring this person to tribunal? But if you don't have, you don't have. So already you are guilty. There is nothing anybody can do again. So after the receiving of petitions, investigating, and then sending such cases to the tribunal for prosecution, the remaining two are just the powers of the Bureau to employ, to appoint, promote, and discipline without any other authority. So we employ our staff by ourselves. We can promote them by ourselves without going to head of service or to any other authority. And then any other duties that the National Assembly might assign us to do, those are the powers of the Code of Conduct Bureau. Now, who are the officers for the purpose of the Code of Conduct? Some will say, because I am level 1, I am level this, I am level that, so it doesn't matter whether I declare or not. The law says as long as you are receiving emoluments from government, whether federal, state, or local government, as a public officer, you must declare your assets. So even if you are level 1, once you are collecting emolument from government, whether it is local government, state, or federal, and that is why when we were introducing ourselves, we had local government operation. The state operation did not come today. The other one is federal operations. So anybody receiving emolument. But if you go to the 5th schedule, paragraph 1 of part 1 of the 5th schedule, you will still see how they listed it from the president down to the least staff. So it means that nobody is immune to this law. Nobody is immune to this law. And this is the only law that even the president or the state governor can be taken to court, can be investigated, because it is a law that did not exclude anybody. Once you are a public officer, you should abide by this law. So I don't want to bore you with the listing of the president, the vice president, the governor, the deputy governor, the chairman, the ministers, the commissioners. I don't want to bore you with that. That is why I just summarized everything and told you once you are collecting emolument from government, you must declare your assets. If you don't have, I do not have any. Anywhere you don't have, I do not have any. You make a statement. No nil, no, not applicable. So you must make a statement so that no lawyer will come to interpret nil to mean something else. And you must also go to the High Court to swear affidavit that what you are telling us is the truth and nothing but the truth. So, that is for the officers for the purpose of the Code of Conduct. Now, the main thrust of the matter is the Code of Conduct for public officers, which I told you we have 14 of them. 14. But I prefer summarizing them than to begin to give you one after the other, one after the other. It might take us a long time, and some might not even apply to you, so there is no need wasting time on them. Now, the first of it all is conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. That particular code covers almost everything about the Code of Conduct, because the government is saying that your primary duty as a public officer is to serve the public and to do that schedule which that office mandates you to do. You should not go about doing other things that will conflict that duties. So now you begin to look at it from other codes. Link them, begin to link them. Your duties should not conflict, your personal interest should not conflict with your duties. Now begin to look at other codes. When you go to code 2, now it will tell you that as a public officer, except you are on part-time basis. You should not engage in the management or running of any business, trade, or profession. Running any business, trade, or profession. It is not conflicting at all. It is simple thing. People will begin to ask questions. Does it mean that we are not supposed to own businesses? No. The law did not say you should not own. It said you should not run or manage business. If you have a business, we are going to ask you in the form, you will see it there. Enterprises. If you have, yes, who is managing it for you? If you are managing it yourself, definitely there is conflict of interest. Because even from the Bible, we that are Christians, those that are Christian, we agree with me. The Bible says you cannot serve two masters and love them the same way. Definitely, you will love one more than the other. And where your treasure is where your heart lies. If you have a business, definitely, if you are running it, most often, even as we are here now, maybe some people that are not here now have gone for their private businesses somewhere. And that is conflict of interest. Because you are taking the hours which government is paying you for to go and do something else for your own personal benefit, which does not concern the institution. So it's conflict of interest. But the law in that code 2 says except for farming. So if you have a farm, there is no problem with it. The law guarantees that you should have a farm, even though our interpretation would have been subsistent farming, because some people have hectares of land that they are cultivating and they still say the law say farming, and we cannot do anything to them. Even if they are managing it, we cannot do anything. So that is for that one. Then we talk about abuse of office. Abuse of office. We all know we are in school environment, and almost everybody, all of us, have gone through the school system, and we know how the abuses that occur in school, in institutions. Why do such abuses occur? It is because you have that power, either by promotion or by appointment. You stand in that position, and then you now use it to abuse others that are below you or your students, because you have that power is given to you. But if it is not there, can you be able to do what you are doing? And that is when we come to sanctions. You will now see that if you abuse your office and the person you abuse is courageous enough to report to us, and we are able to find a case against you, definitely the sanctions will be applied, and maybe you will not be in that position again to be able to perpetrate that abuse of office. So that is another one. For issues of foreign banks, I know most of us will say we do not have, and most of us actually do not have, but the Constitution states that we should not operate foreign accounts. You can operate domiciliary accounts for your dollar, for your euro, and whatever currency you want to have. But by the time you go to Ghana or to Benin to go and open an account there, government is looking at you as somebody who has the tendency to loot. because you are trying to maybe see a way you can push those monies outside Nigeria, and then we will not know. So the government frowns at the issue of foreign accounts. We also, in school environment, we know that there is issues of courtism. The law also prohibits public officers from joining courts. And most often when you talk of courtism, it will look as if it's only the students. The lecturers, we are students, and some of them we are members. And when they become lecturers, they will still woo people into those courts. And it's always difficult to prove, but if there is proof that you are a member of any court in Nigeria, you have contravened the code of conduct for public officers, and you are not worthy to be a public officer. That is another code. Now, we talk about the main thing, which is the assets declaration, which is code 11. We stated it in the powers of the Bureau. The law said you should submit your assets and liabilities, that of your spouse and children below the ages of 18, to the Code of Conduct Bureau. It says for career officers, you are supposed to declare every 4 years, 30 days from when you are employed, and then for 4 years until when you are retiring, you now do your end of tenure. For 4 years, that is what the law says for career public officers. For politicians, it is beginning of tenure and end of tenure. It's always the same thing, either 4 years or 5 years. But from beginning you declare, and when you are leaving, you also declare. And then the Code of Conduct can also, working on intelligence, invite you anytime to come and declare your assets. Even if you have declared today, and after 1-2 months, we discover that you have some properties which you did not declare, we will still call you and ask you to declare, because we want to be sure that it was not an omission before we begin to prosecute you. So in that Code 11, the law says that, the paragraph 2 of it says that any statement you make in that declaration that is found to be false by an officer of the Bureau who is examining it becomes a breach of the code, and sanctions will follow. So whatever you are declaring is supposed to be truthful. Mind you, you will go to court to swear affidavit. So when you refuse to give us the true picture, at the end of the day, we will find out ourselves through either intelligence or verification, and then you will face the consequences. So, again, remember that this law, this particular law, is a law that is enshrined in the Constitution. So there are instances where officers will tell us that in our own, maybe bylaws or whatever, that we are exempted from so and so thing. The ground norm is the Constitution. And any other law that is inconsistent with the Constitution is null and void, ab initio. So let us put that at the back of our minds. We treat this with human face, and therefore there are instances where we overlook sometimes, but it doesn't mean that it is the right thing to do. Now, what are the sanctions? In conclusion, what are the sanctions? We have basic 3 sanctions. Paragraph 18 of the first part of part 1 of the 5th schedule to the 1999 Constitution has 3 basic sanctions. What are the sanctions? 1, removal from office. We are paraphrasing it. Removal from office. So any of these codes that I have mentioned and those that I have not mentioned, if you contravene them and we are able to find you guilty at the Code of Conduct Tribunal, you will be removed from office. For admin officers, they will know that that is dismissal. We are not just saying you are going to be terminated. You are going to be dismissed. So all benefits accruing to you after working for 30 years, 35 years will be gone. That is 1. Then 2, we talk about you are going to be barred from holding public office for a period not exceeding 10 years. Now, we might remove you and then maybe just stop at that. Depending on the gravity of the offense, you might be removed from office and again barred from public office for 10 years. Meaning that you are not going to take any other appointment for a period of 10 years. Then, the last one is seizure and forfeiture. If it is concerning assets that you did not declare, what you did not declare, you do not have. So it is not yours. And the state to which you are working and making the money to build those assets or acquire those assets, that is for them. So we will seize it and forfeit, we will forfeit it, we will give it to the state. So the new slogan of the new chairman of the Bureau is declare or forfeit. You either declare or you forfeit. So if you think that maybe as a public officer you have so many assets and if you declare it, we will know and begin to ask you questions, keep them. We will still know because we have our intelligence, we have our investigators, we also have people that are working on the ground for us, and we will know. So when we know those assets are not yours, we will seal them and then we will take you to court. We will collect them and hand them over to government. But there is one which is just fine. That one is for the discretion of the judge. The judge might decide that maybe your case is pathetic, and then might decide, okay, let me just find this person so that he will go and sin no more. and by that is at the discretion of the judge. If not, the 3 sanctions I told you are the basic sanctions. And to crown it all, the sanctions of the Code of Conduct Bureau have no prerogative of mercy. That is the worst, because when you are convicted by the Code of Conduct, you can go to appeal court, and once you lose, that means that judgment stands, and whether your own blood brother becomes the president or the governor of your state, he cannot pardon you. He can never. Even if he wants to, the law will tie his hands. So if he decides to give you an appointment, we will go to court, and then you will still be removed, because the judgment of the Code of Conduct Bureau has no prerogative of mercy. So that's the end of my lecture. But before you begin to ask questions, my colleague will take you on how to properly fill the form